Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your same module, that is a database design concepts, and the same chapter, that is chapter number 9, that is your servlets, that is your application design and the development, that is how to design the application and how to design the development, that is chapter number 9. In the last class we have discussed about the chapter number 9 and what are the various sublet classes, what are the various life cycle of the sublet classes, or we can say what is the main role of the sublet that is used in the day-to-day scenarios. So I'm going to continue with the same chapter, with the same scenarios, with the same concept. That is the next part of this one. We can say the new part of this one, that is again the new concept of this one, that is sublet life cycle and the so on. So the life cycle of a servlet is controlled by the web server in which it is deployed. So it is always controlled by the web server by which we can use it or by which we can store it. And it is servlet are stored in the JVM, that is the Java Virtual Machine, and creates an instance of the servlet class. In addition to this, the server also calls the init method to initialize the servlet instance. There is an init method, that is the initialization method, that is used to servlet, or that is used for the servlet initialization, right? So there is an init process that is loading the servlet instance, or when we use the servlet, that's the life cycle. It is initialized, it is adding up by using the init function. So after making sure the servlet instance does not exist or that exists, the server invoke the service method. There is a method that is a request, or there is a, we can say, the object that is used, that is a request object, and the response object is used as a parameter of the servlet. Then when the servlet is no longer required, that it must be shut down, it must be destroyed by using the destroy method. So there is a method that is used, that is known as the destroy method, that is used to destroy the servlet. Then there is servlet support, that is what is the support that is accessed by the servlet, that is how to use the servlets, that is how to use the so this is a servlet support, that is what is the support that is provided by the servlet. So many application provides, or many application had built-in support for the servlet. That is, there is a inbuilt support that is already available with the servlets. So many servers or many application server has a built-in support that is available with the servlets. So many servers that is used with the servlet that have a built-in support that is used with the servlets. So one of the most important servlet that is available, or server that is available, that is a Tomcat server from the Apache Jakarta project. Other application server that also includes, there are multiple names that is used, and one of the best method to use a servlet that is using the IDE, that is the Eclipse or the NetBeans, which comes with the application server or then there is a servlet, that is the application servlet that usually provides a useful services that in addition to the basic servlet supports. Then we have discussed about the server-side scripting, that is what is the server-side scripting, that is how to use server-side scripting and how to get the method that is used with the server-side scripting. So that is a method that is used, that is server-side scripting. So writing even simple web application is a programming language, and in a programming language, so the Java or C is a very time consuming. So whenever I develop, or whenever I see, or whenever I check the C programming, or whenever you use a Java or C programming, that is a very time consuming process. So instead of that, I'm using, or I'm able to use the server side scripting, that is a server side scripting, that is a script that is written on the server side that is available on the Java codes. That provides a much easier method for creating many applications. Scripting languages provides construct that can be embedded within the application, that is provided. In server-side scripting, before delivering a web page, the server executes a script that is embedded in the HTML code. So every scripting that is available, that is, we have to embed the scripting in the HTML code, then the document will be prepared, then the server executes a script that is embedded within the HTML contents of the page. This is the HTML, then there is a head, there is a title, then there is a title that is available, then head will be closed. Again there is a body, that if request dot get parameter name, that is null, then out println hello world, else out println hello request dot get parameter name. This is a method, that is how to use a JSP with the embedded Java code, or how to use the JSP with the multiple Java code that is available with the JSP. So some of the widely used scripting languages include the JSP from the Sun, Active Server Pages, and its successor ASP.NET from the Microsoft. So we briefly describe below what is a JSP. That is a scripting language that allows the, or we can use the scripting language, we can use the Java scripting language within the HTML. So that allows the HTML programmers to mix the static HTML with the dynamic HTML, or the dynamic generated HTML. That is the main use of the JSP that is available with the JavaScript. So that is a static HTML, that is a dynamic HTML that is available. And we have discussed that is how to write the JavaScript, or how to write any scripting within the HTML by using the concept, by using the method. That is this is a symbol that is used for writing the code of the JavaScript or any scripting language within the HTML. The code uses request.get parameter to get the value of the attribute name. So the request.get parameter is used to get the value of the attribute name. Then there is a PHP, that is a scripting language that is mostly widely used for the server-side scripting. So PHP is also a language that is also, or that is most widely used for the server-side scripting that is available with the JavaScript. PHP code can be intermixed with the HTML in a manner similar to the JSP. The characters, that is question mark PHP, indicate the start of the PHP code, while the characters question mark and there is a greater than sign that indicates the end of the PHP code. The following code performs the same actions as the JSP in the figure 9.6 or the figure 9.9. So this is the same figure that is available that performs the same code of the JSP code. This is HTML, this is a head, this is a title, this is a PHP code that is available over here. Then we have discussed about the client-side scripting. So one is a server-side scripting, one is a client-side scripting. That is a scripting that is available on the client side. Whenever there is active pages, whenever the web page is to be active, that carry out the activity that is available, that is known as the client-side scripting. One of the reasons that Java program or language become very popular is that it provides a safe mode for executing programs on the user computer. So it provides a safe method, that is how to use a computer within the user's computer. Java code can be compiled into platform independent bytecode that can be executed on any browser that supports the Java. Unlike local programs, Java programs can be downloaded as a part of the web page and has no authority to perform any action that is available on the Java page. That is the bytecode that is available. While Java is a full-fledged programming language, there are simpler languages that is known as scripting languages that can enrich the user interaction. Client-side scripting languages are the languages that is designed to be executed on the client's web browser. This is one of the example that we have discussed. That is a button that is available. That is a document object model that is available with the Java code that we have discussed in the last class. And there is a DOM, that is a document object model, that is also a standard that is available with the Java code. Then we have discussed about the application architectures, or what are the various architecture that is used with the various applications, that is the applications or application architecture. So to handle their complexity, large applications are often broken into several layers. So the large application can be divided into multiple layers, can be divided into multiple architectures. The first is the user interface layer, or we can say the presentation layer, that deals with the user interaction. So presentation layer or the user interface layer always deal with the user interaction. That is how the user deals with the application that is provided by the user interface layer. Then there is a business logic layer that provides a high level view of data and applications on the data, or actions on the data. Then there is a data access layer that provides the interface between the logic model and the underlying database. So one is a business logic, one is a user interface, one is a data access layer. That is a mediator between the business logic and the database that is available on the database. This is the application server, that is the application architecture. This is the browser, internet, controller, view model, data access, and the database. Then we will discuss in detail what are the business logic models and how the data flows in the business logic model. Then data access layer and the object relation mapping, that is also used in this one. Then we are talking about the Hibernate example, that is what is a Hibernate, how we can use the Hibernate. Then we also discuss about what are the various web services that is available on the web, or what are the services that is provided by the web. So in the past, most application or most web application uses or used only data variables or the data available at the application server. So most of the data that is available at the application server and its associated database. In the recent years, a wide variety of data is available on the web that is intended to be processed by a program rather than it is displayed to the user. And a system that supports an interface between the HTTP protocol and the web server that is known as the web service. And two approaches are used to implement the web services. There are two approaches. One is the representation state transfer, that is a REST. Next is the Java script object notation. Then we will discuss about the RAD, that is a rapid application development. That is a development, or that we can say the application will be developed in a rapid way, that is the rapid application development. So if web applications are built without using tools or libraries for constructing the web interface, the programming efforts must be required to construct the user interface that can be significantly more than the required for the business logic and the database access. That is, whenever we use the rapid application development, that can be used for the developing the applications in a rapid way. Several approaches have been developed to reduce the effort that is required to build the applications. So what are the various approaches that can be developed to reduce the efforts? The first one is provides a library of functions to generate user interface elements with a minimal programming or with minimal programming. So it provides a number of libraries of functions, or the number of functions that can be used to generate the user interface that is with the minimal programming. The next point says it also provides a drag and drop facility that is available with the application development, that is available with the integrated development environment that can be used with the application development. Then automatically RAD automatically generates the code for the user interface from a declarative specification. So if there is a declarative specification, that can also be accessed with the document layer, with the argument layer that is available with the database. So there is a RAD tools that is also available for creating the web applications as well. Now, what are the various examples of tool that is designed for the rapid application development? That includes the Oracle Forms, Sys-based Power Model, or Oracle Application Express, that is Apex. Then what are the various tools that is used for building the user interfaces, or what are the various tools that is available for building the user interfaces? That is the next part. There are multiple tools that is available to build the user interfaces. So many HTML constructs or define various functions that is used for making the or making the web pages that is developed, or that is a various tool that is developed for making the user interfaces. For example, address form that typically uses or requires a menu that containing the country or the state name. So if the country or the state name can be provided, that can be accessed by using the building or by using the user interface. And there are also drop down menu that is also available. There is a data set, there is a result set that is also available with the JDBC, that is a Java database connectivity, that is results in the data set objects. And there is a data aggregate that is also available with the database objects. Then we have also discussed what are the various application frameworks, or what are various web application framework that is available with the web base. So there is a framework that is available with the web scenarios. We can say that the where the application that is available with the web that contains a framework, or we can say that it is a model that contains the application framework. That includes a feature such as the object-oriented model, relatively or specifying a form with the validations, a template, a controller. So there are multiple parts of this one, like a template, like a controller, template scripting language. Then we also discuss about the report generator, that are the tool that is used to generate the human readable summary reports from a database. So if I want to read out the reports, if I want to read out the summary reports from a database, that is done by the report generator. So report generators are the tools that is available to generate the human readable summary reports. So if there is a report that is available with a database, I want to access that report. For example, there is a report that contains the various human readable forms, or there is a summary report of any organization. So there are various tools that is available to generate the report that is known as the report generators. So report generators are the tool that is used to generate the human readable summary reports from a database. They integrate querying the database with the creation of the formatted text in the summary charts. And what are the various charts that is available, like bar chart, bar chart, that is available with the database. For example, a report may show the total sales in each of the past 2 months for each sales season. Now this is the example that is given for a formatted report that is available. This is the ACME supply company. This is the quarterly sales report that is available, and there are various charts that is also available with the application development. Then we will discuss about the application performance, that is how the performance of the application can be judged, that is application performance. So first of all, there is a reducing the overhead by using the caching memory. So there is a reduction in the overhead that is also available by using the caching memory. Then there is a parallel processing, that is more than one processes are executing at the same time, that is the parallel processing, that is also available with the Java database connectivity. Then we also discuss about the application security, that is how to secure the application, that is how to maintain the security among the application, that is application security. So first of all, there is a SQL injection, that is there is an attack that is also available with the SQL injection. So in the SQL injection attacks, the attacker manages to get an application to execute an SQL query. So whenever there is a SQL injection, whenever there is a SQL command that is available, that can be injected by the various applications, or that can be injected by the various applications, or we can say the how to execute the SQL query that is created by the attackers. So as an example, this is the string query, and that is select star from the student where name like percentage plus name plus percentage. When name is a variable that containing the string input by the user, and then executes the query on the database. A malicious attacker using the web form then type the string like this one. So this is the how there is a SQL injection that is available with the Java database connectivity. Then there is the cross-site scripting and the request forgery. This is also the attack that is available. This is also the fraud that is available. So there is the cross-site scripting, that is only one side. There is a tool that is available with the cross-site scripting, and there is a request forgery. That is there is a forgery of the request. That is how to maintain the request forgery, or how to do the request forgery. So this is also attack that is known as the cross-site scripting attack. That is the XXS attack. In such attack, a malicious user enters a code written in a client-side programming such as the JavaScript or the Flash instead of entering a valid name or the comment. Now, what are the various prevention measures that is used, or what are the various, we can say, how to protect against these attacks? Now, two things that need to be done. What are the two methods that need to be done? First one is prevent your website from being used to launch XSS or XSRF attack. So prevent your website from being used, or from being used by the cross-site scripting, that is the XSS, as well as protect your websites from the attacks that is launched from the other side. That is, there is no linking of the website that is available with the attacks. And there is a protocol that is also available that is known as the HTTP protocol. That is a hypertext transfer protocol that is used to check the server of a web pages. Now next is the password leakage. That is also we can say the foundation or limitation, or we can say the security threat that is available with the applications. So many application developers must deal with the storing the passwords in a clear text in application program. So there is no encryption, there is no, we can say that change the format of the encryption. So there is a whole demand that is available with this one. That is also one of the risks that is available with the demand. Then application authentication, that is how to authenticate the application, that is done in a two-factor authentication. So there must be a username, there must be a password to authenticate the user. So it refers to the task of verifying the identity of a person or software that is connecting to an application. So if a person is connected to an application, that is also an authorized user if the username and the password matches. Or software that is also connected to an application. So it's a two-factor authentication with the two independent factors, that is a piece of information or processes. And password are the most important fact that is available with the two-factor authentication schemes. And one-time password is also one of the important method that is used in the day-to-day scenarios. Suppose if I want to purchase anything from the, or if I want to purchase, or if I want to do the net banking, that is available or that is done with the one-time password. There is a one-time password that is coming on the mobile phones, and we can put the password, feed the one-time password, and do the processing automatically. Then SAML, that is a security assertion markup language, that is a standard for exchanging the authentication and authorization information between different security domains. Then there is application authorization also, that is also available, that contains flexible type of authorization or the flexible system of authorization by which various we can say the various roles can be defined for the application servers. So such authorization cannot be specified in SQL for at least two reasons. That is, cannot be specified in the SQL for at least two reasons. What are the two reasons that is available? That is a lack of the end user information. So there is a lack of the end user information. That is, there is no proper information that is available. That is a lack of the end user information. Then lack of fine-grained authorization. Then we also studied about the audit trail. That is, what is the audit trail? That is a we can say the log, or we can say the container that contains list of all the changes that is applied, like what are the insertions, what are the deletions, what is the updation, how many rows are inserted, how many rows are deleted, and how many updates are available to the application data. That is the audit trail. So that is any changes that is made, that is available with the audit trail. Then privacy, that is personal data are also available online, so we can encrypt the data, we can protect the data, that is a privacy. Now next term is encryption and its application. That is, what is encryption and how to use encryption, and what are the various applications of the encryption, how to use them. So this is the next topic, that is the today's topic. So let's start with the encryption. In simple terms, if I want to change the form of my data so that it cannot be read by any other person, any third person, that is known as the encryption. Suppose I want to send the data to you. I'm a teacher, you are a student. I'm sending the data to you, but instead of this, my third person, if my colleague, force my data that I send to you, if there is a private data, that is known as the hacking. So in order to protect the hacking, my concern is that I know the same password, I know the same data, you know the same data. No one else, that is, no my colleague that is available or that is known my any data. That is known as the encryption. That means changing my data into another form that can be read or that can be understood by both of us, either you, either me. That is encryption. Means changing the form to a readable form, to a form that is understandable by both the receiver and the sender, and it is not unreadable by the third person. There is a device, there is a technique that is available that is known as the decryption, that is used to decrypt the data again back or again taking the original data. That is a decryption. Right, that is an encryption. The example is clear to you, each and everyone, I think. So I'm repeating again, changing the form or changing the form of the data so that no one can understand without or regardless of the receiver and the sender, that is known as the encryption. Now let's see line by line. So encryption refers to the processing of the transforming data into a form, that is changing the data into a form that is unreadable unless the reverse process of description is or decryption is applied. So it is a process of transferring the data that is unreadable, and the reverse process, if the reverse process is done, then only the data will be coming. Otherwise, the data will be not coming. So that is unless the reverse process of decryption is applied, no one can fetch the data. That is an encryption. Encryption algorithms uses an encryption key to perform the encryption. So there is algorithm that is also used with encryption, that uses the algorithm, that uses the various algorithm to perform the encryption. So there is encryption key and requires a decryption key also, which can be done or which can be used, or yeah, which can be same as the encryption key depending on the encryption algorithm used to perform the decryption. So to perform the encryption, there is a key that is known as encryption key to make the, or to, we can say, the send out to the new location, or we can say that to send out to the original data that can be sent out, that is known as the decryption key. So one is encryption, one is the decryption. The oldest use of encryption were for transmitting the messages, encrypting using a secret key known only to the sender and the intended user. As I said to you, if you and me are involved, so the data will be available, or data will be, we can say, the data will be known, the same message will be known to you and to me. That is only the sender and the receiver. This says while transmitting the data, the encrypted message is using a secret key known only to the sender and the intended user. There is no other user that is used, or there is no other user that is used that secret key that is available only to the sender and the receiver. Even if the message is intercepted by an enemy, the enemy not knowing the key will not be able to decrypt the data and understand the message. So if there is no encryption key, there is no decryption key that is available. So if there is no third person that is available, no one can know the key, no one can know the algorithm. So how or what is the use of that data? If that is not the original form, why should the user, or why any third person uses or takes the encrypted data? Encryption is widely used today for protecting the data in transmit in a variety of applications, such as data transfer on the internet and on cellular phone network. Encryption is also used to carry out other tasks such as authentication. So encryption is also used for various tasks such as the authentication. To authenticate the user, that is the username and the password must be matched, that is the encryption. In the context of databases, encryption is used to store data in a secure way. So encryption is also used to secure the data in a secure way, so that even if the data is acquired by an unauthorized user, the data will not be accessible without a decryption key. So encryption is used to store the data in a secure way, so that even if the data is acquired by unauthorized user, for example, any data is stolen, that data will not be accessible without a decryption key. So there is no, we can say, if the data is also lost, so there is no, we can say, the confusion, we can say the tension in the mind that my data will be lost and will be used by the unauthorized user in an unintended way. No, there is no way, because the data will not be accessible without the decryption key. So data will be safe, even though the data will be forged, stealed, but the data will be saved, because that cannot be broken into the or taken into the original form. Many databases today store sensitive customer information such as card number, names, fingerprint, signature, identification number, and in the United States, that is the social security number, that is the SSN. So most of the database nowadays stores relevant information or useful information like social security number, credit card number, signature, fingerprint. That is very relevant data. A criminal who gets access to such data can use it for a variety of illegal activities, such as purchasing goods using a credit card number, or even acquiring a credit card in someone else's name. That is also a forged activity, that is also a stolen activity. So leaking of such personal information allows a criminal to impersonate someone else and get access to services or goods. Such impersonation is known as the identity theft. So there is identity theft that is available, that is ID theft that is available, that is leaking out the personal information of the user. Therefore, applications that store such sensitive data must take great care to protect them from the theft. So the application that stores the sensitive data that is available, that takes the great care to protect that theft from them from the theft. That is the application data. Now, to reduce the chance of sensitive information being acquired by the criminals, many countries and the states today require by law that any database stores such sensitive information must store the information in an encrypted form. So there is an encrypted form that is available that uses the data for the encryption purpose. So the sensitive information must be stored by the encryption purpose. Now, next topic is very important topic, that is the encryption techniques. That is, what are the various techniques of the encryption? And this is one of the important line also. Encryption is a critical component of any application that stores such sensitive information. So it is a critical component, critical part, that is known as the encryption. Now, what are the various encryption techniques that is available? That is, what are the various methods of the encryption? There are vast number of techniques for the encryption of the data. So there are multiple techniques that is available with the encryption of the data. Simple encryption techniques may not provide adequate security, since it may be easy for an unauthorized user to break the code. So if I'm using the simple encryption technique, that is not possible, that is not available, because it is very easy for the application security, or it's very easy for an unauthorized user to break the code. As an example of weak encryption technique, consider the substitution of each character that with the next character in the alphabet. Therefore, Perry Rich, that is also available. Becomes QFSS. So this means this meaningful line, this meaningful sentence, that is a Perry Rich, is converted into this one. If an unauthorized user see only this one, this code, she probably has insufficient information to break the code. See, means any simple user cannot take this code and cannot take this word and understand the problem. What is the logic behind this? What are the various contents logic behind this? So if the same word, that is a Perry Rich, is available in this form, so there is a insufficient information to break the code for to the any persons. However, if the intruder sees a large number of encrypted branch name, she could use a statistical data, that is regarding the relative frequency of characters, to guess what substitution is being made. For example, E is a common letter in the English text, followed by the TONI and so on. Now, what is the good encryption techniques properties? So if I'm talking about the good encryption techniques, that has the following properties. So what are the various properties that is available with the encryption techniques? The first point says it is relatively simple for authorized user to encrypt and decrypt the data. It is not that I'm and you are taking the data, so if any encryption techniques is used, so it is very hard to encrypt or decrypt the data. No, that is not possible. So one of the properties is that it is relatively simple for authorized users to encrypt or decrypt the data. So it is very relevant, or it is very simple for authorized users how to encrypt and how to decrypt the data. That is also one of the major property of the encryption technique. So it is very easy for the authorized users only, not for the unauthorized users, but for the authorized users to encrypt and decrypt the data. Then the second property says it depends not on the secrecy of the algorithm, but rather on the parameter of the algorithm, that is known as the encryption key, that is used to encrypt the data. So there is a key that is available, that is the encryption key, that is used to encrypt the data. In a symmetric key encryption technique, the encryption key is also used to decrypt the key. So there are two types of keys that is available. One is a symmetric key, one is a asymmetric key. So in a symmetric key algorithm, in a symmetric key encryption method technique, the encryption key that is used, the same encryption key is also used to decrypt the data. In contrast, in a public key, that is also known as the asymmetric key, in that encryption technique, there are two keys. One is a private key, one is a public key, that is used to encrypt and decrypt the data. Public keys are used to encrypt the data because that is known to each and everyone, and the private key is used to decrypt the data because it is known only to the user, only to the sender and the receiver. So there are two types of keys, that is the symmetric key and the asymmetric key. So in the symmetric key, the same key is used for both the encryption and the decryption. But in the asymmetric key, both have a different key, or the two keys are used. One is a public key that is used to encrypt the data, one is a private key that is used to decrypt the data. So in simple terms, remember, symmetric means same keys for both. Asymmetric keys means one key is used for the encryption, one key is used for the decryption. Next point says the advanced encryption standard, that is the AES, is a symmetric key algorithm or symmetric key encryption algorithm, that is the same key is used for both the encryption and the decryption. That was adopted as an encryption standard by the US government in 2000 and is not widely used. The standard is based on the Regent-Dell algorithm. This algorithm operates on a 128-bit block of data at a time, while the key can be 128, 192 or 256 bit in the length. The algorithm runs a series of steps to jumble up the bits in a data block in a way that can be reversed during the encryption and performs the XOR operation with the 128 round key. So there is algorithm, there is a standard that is also available, that is a DES, that is a data encryption standard that was adopted in 1979 and widely used earlier. So there is algorithm, there is a standard that is also available, that is a data encryption standard, that is a DES. For a symmetric key encryption scheme to work, so if I want that the symmetric algorithm works, authorized users must be provided with the encryption key via a secure mechanism. So that is a same key is used, so there is an encryption key that is available or that is made or that is available in the same mechanism or the secure mechanism. This requirement is a major weakness since the scheme is no more secure than the security of the mechanism by which the encryption key is transmitted. Then there is a public key that is also available, that is a public key encryption, that is an alternative scheme that avoids some of the problem that is faced by the symmetric key algorithm. So there is a public key algorithm or public key encryption, that is also algorithm that is also provided the symmetric key encryption. It is based on two keys, that is a public key and the private key. Each user has a public key EI and each user has a private key, that is DI. All public keys are published, they can be seen by any more. Each private key is known to only the one user to whom the key belongs. If the user wants to store encrypted data, UI or U1 encrypts them from the or using the public key. Decryption requires a private key, that is a D1. So there is a D1, there is a E1, there is a U1 that is also available to encrypt, decrypt the data. Because the encryption key for each user is public, it is possible to exchange the information securely by this scheme. So if the same key is used, so the same key is public, or we can say the same key is used to exchange the data, or that can be also possible to exchange the information security on this scheme. For example, if the user U1 wants to share some data with the U2, U1 encrypts the data using E2, the public key of E2. Since only U1 knows how to decrypt the data, information can be transferred securely. This is one of the important paragraphs. In simple terms, there is a same key, there are two users, U1 sends the data and U2 receives the data in terms of the security, in terms of the mechanisms. For public key encryption to work, there must be a scheme for encryption such that it is infeasible to reduce the private key given by the public key. Now, such a scheme does exist and it based on the condition, that is how to generate the private key based on the public key. There is an efficient algorithm for testing whether or not a number is prime. No efficient algorithm is known for finding the prime factors of a number. There is an efficient algorithm to test whether a number is prime or not. Then that no efficient algorithm must be provided, or no efficient algorithm is known for finding the prime factors of a number. The details of the public key and the private algorithm is available on the encryption algorithm. Now, encryption support in a database, that is how to use the encryption in the database. So let's take a break right now, then move to this topic, that is encryption support in a database. So let's take a break, then move to this topic. So come back from the break. Now let's start the session again. So the next is encryption supports in the databases. That is how to maintain or how what are the various encryption supports or what are the various we can say the how to use the encryption in the databases. That is encryption support in the database. That is the next chapter. So let's start with this topic. That is many file systems and the database system that is used today supports encryption of the data. So whenever we use the database system, whenever we use the encryption techniques, whenever we use the file system and the database system, that is today using that supports the encryption of the data. Such encryption protects the data from someone who is able to access the data. That is the encryption means and protecting the data from someone who is able to access the data but is not able to access the decryption technique or key. In case of file system architecture that is used or in case of file system encryption that is used, the data that is to be encrypted are usually the large file and the directories that containing the information about the file. So whenever we use the file system architecture or whenever we use the file system encryption, the data that is to be encrypted are usually the large files and the directories that contains the information about the files. In the content of or in the context of databases, encryption can be done at several different levels. At the lowest level, the disk block containing database data that can be encrypted. So there is the data that can be encrypted within the database using a key available to the database system software. When a block is retrieved from the disk, it is first displayed or it is first we can say that decrypted and then used in the usual fashion. Such disk block level encryption protects against the attackers who can access the database. So there is an attacker that is also available to access the database that is used to access the encryption keys. At the next higher level that is available, all the attributes of a relation can be stored in encryption form. In this case, each attribute of a relation can have a attribute or can have a different encryption keys. Many databases today supports encryption at the level of the specified attributes as well as at the level of the entire relation. So many databases that is used or that is support today uses the encryption at the level of the specified attributes on the entire relation. So that means encryption can be done on the entire relation, on the entire table, on the entire databases. Encryption also then needs to use extra random bits to prevent the dictionary attacks as described earlier. A decryption key is obviously required to get access to the encrypted data. So whatever the encrypted data that is available, there is a requirement of the decryption key, there is a requirement of the key that is used to decrypt the data. A single master encryption key can be used for all the encrypted data, transmitted data, attribute level encryption, different encryption keys that can be used for different attributes. So decryption key that is used that is required to access the encrypted data with the various level of databases with the various level of decryption. In this case, the decryption keys for different attributes can be stored in a file or the relation. That is, there is a decryption mechanism, there is a decryption key that can be used to store the data. That is known as the wallet, which is itself encrypted using a master key. A connection to the database that need to access encrypted attributes must then provide the master key. So there is a connection that is available that needs to access the encrypted key that is also available with the encrypted data that provides the master key. Unless this is provided, the connection will not be able to access encrypted data. The master key would be stored in the application program. So whatever the master key that will be stored in the application program, application data or memorized by the database server. So encryption at the database level has the advantage of requiring relatively low time and the space overhead. So there is a low time, that is a time saving, there is a space overhead, that the less space will be occupied and does not require the modifications of applications or does not require the modification of application. So whenever you use the encryption, that has the advantage of requiring relatively the low time and the space overhead. For example, if the data in a laptop computer database needs to be protected from theft of the computer itself, such encryption can be used. So if a data that is available in the laptop computer database that needs to be protected from the theft of the computer, so if there is any theft that is available in the computer that must be protected from the theft, such encryption can be used. Similarly, someone who gets access to backup tapes of the database would not able to access the data that is contained in the backup without knowing the decryption keys. An alternative to performing encryption in the database is to perform it before the data are sent to the database. That is an algorithm or that is an encryption that is used to send the database or that is used before sending the data into the database. The application must then encrypt the data before sending it to the database. So there is an encryption technique that is used to send the data, that is used for sending the data into the database, and decrypt the data whenever it is retrieved. The approach to the data encryption requires significant modification that is to be done to the application. So if there is any modification that is to be done at the application level, encryption performed in a database system. Now, encryption and the authentication, that is, what is the relationship between the encryption and the authentication? So this is password-based authentication is used widely by the operating system. So whenever we use the password, or whenever we use the password for the username and the password, that is the password-based authentication that is most widely used by the operating system as well as the databases. However, the use of passwords has some drawbacks. So there are some drawbacks for using the passwords, especially over a network. If an eavesdropper is able to snip the data that is being sent over the network, she may be able to find the password as it is being sent across the network. That is, if the password has been stolen, if the password has been used for the username and the password, so there's a difficulty, there is a there's a chances to detect the database or to leak the database whenever it is sent across the network. Once the eavesdropper has a username and the password, she is connected to the database pretending to the legitimate user. A more challenging scheme involves a challenge response system. Database system sends a challenge string to the user. So there is a challenge string that is available to the user. The user encrypts the data, encrypts the challenge string using a secret password as encryption key, and then returns the result. So there is encryption, that is a challenge string that is available using the secret password that is used as the encryption key. These schemes ensure that no password travel over the network. This is the challenge response system. That is, there is no password that is traveled along the network. So there is no, we can say, the stealing of the password over the network, over the path. Public key systems can be used for encryption in the challenge response system. So public key system that can be also used for the encryption that is used in the challenge response system. Then database system encrypts the challenge string using the user's public key and it sends it to the user. The user decrypts the string using her private key and returns the result into the database system. The database system then checks the response. What is the response? That is a scheme that can be added for the secret password that is available, that can be potentially be seen by the system administrator. Now, what is a digital signature? That is the most common parts. Digital signature means the signature that is available online, that is available in the computer, that is a digital signature. So another interesting application of public key encryption is in digital signatures to verify authenticity of data. So if I want to verify the authenticity of data that is available or that is done by the digital signature, so it plays the electronic role of physical signature on the document. The private key is used to sign, that is to encrypt the data, and sign the data can be made public. That is, the private key is used to sign the data, and whenever we sign the data or whenever any user signs the data that is used, that is encrypting the data, and this the signed data can be made public. Anyone can verify the signature by decrypting the data using the public key. So anyone can verify the data or anyone can decrypt the data by using the private key. Therefore, thus we can authenticate the data, that is, we can verify that the data was indeed created by the person who is supposed to have created them. Furthermore, digital signature also serves to ensure known reputation. That is, if there is no reputation, that is, there is a single user who does the same or a unique signature. Now, next is the digital certificates. That is, any certificate that is available online, that is available on the computer, that is a digital certificates. Authentication in general is a two-way process where each of the pair of interacting entities authenticate itself to the another. This is a digital certificate. That is a two-way process, that is authentication, in which the various entity or the interacting entities authenticate itself to the other. Such pairwise authentication is needed even when a client contacts a website to prevent a malicious code or site from a legal website. Such masquerading could be done, for example, if the network routers were compromised and data rerouted to the malicious site. For the user to ensure that she is interacting with an authentic website, the must or she must have the site's public key. This raises the problem of how the user can get the public key. Authentication can be handled by the system of the digital certificates, where both the private keys or whereby the public keys are signed by a certification agency. So there is a certification agency organization that is available. That is, public keys are signed by the certification agency, whose private key or whose public key is well known. For example, the public keys of the root certification authorities are stored in a standard web browser. So whenever we use the standard public keys of the root or certification authorities, that is stored in the standard web browser that is available. A certificate that is issued by them can be verified by using the stored public keys. So certificate that is also issued that can be verified by the stored public key that is available with the databases, that is used with the database, or that is done with the database. A two-level system would place an excessive burden of creating the certificates on the root certification authorities. So a multi-level system is used instead with one or more root certification authorities. A digital certificate that is issued by a certification authority A consists of a public key K1 and the encrypted text E that can be decoded by the using the public key KA. The encrypted text contains the name of the party to whom the certificate was issued. That is, encrypted text, whatever the encrypted text that is available, that contains the name of the party, name of the person to which or to whom the certificate was issued, and her public key, that is a KC. So this is the encrypted text. In case the certification authority A is not a root certification authority, so that is not a proper certification authority, the encrypted text that can also contains a digital signature issued to A by its parent certification authority. This certification indicates a key K1 or KA itself. To verify a certificate, the encrypted text, that is E, is decrypted by using the public key. So this is a very important part, that is a encrypted key, that is a E. So if I want to verify a certificate whether the certificate is valid or not, so in this case the encrypted text E is decrypted by using the public key or to retrieve the name of the party. So we use the public key to retrieve the name of the party. Viewing the certificate establishes a chain through which a particular site was verified. So whenever we view or whenever we verify the certification that also establishes the chain by which a particular site was authenticated and provides a name and authenticated party or public key for that or for the site. Digital signatures are widely used to authenticate websites to users to prevent malicious sites from masquerading as Digital signature can also be used for authenticating the users, and this is also one of the important lines, that is, the digital certificate are widely used to authenticate the websites to the user. So this is digital certificates are widely used or mostly used to authenticate the website to the user to prevent the malicious sites from masquerading as other websites. So this is used to authenticate the web servers or the websites, that the websites are valid websites, and that is also used to protect the website, that is also used to prevent the malicious sites from masquerading as other websites. In the HTTPS protocol, the secure version of the HTTP protocol, that is the HTTPS, the site provides its digital certificate to the provider. So the site also contains a digital certificate that is also available to the browser, which then displays it to the user. If the user accepts the request or accepts the certificate, the browser then uses the provided public key to encrypt the data. So the user accepts the certificate, so the browser uses the provided public key to encrypt the data. A malicious site will have access to the certificate but not the private key and will thus not be able to decrypt the data sent by the browser. So there is a malicious key that can be accessed or will have access, or there is a requirement of the malicious site that have access to the certificate but not the private key and therefore or thus not be able to decrypt the data. So malicious site that have a certificate but not have a private key, and without private key there is no decryption of the data. So there is no way to decrypt the data. So only the authentication site that can be have a corresponding private key can decrypt the data that is sent by the private. So only the authenticated site, only the we can say the challenging sites or the proper sites that have a corresponding private key that can decrypt the data by using the browser, by using the decryption key. We note that public private key encryption and decryption costs are much higher than the encryption decryption cost using symmetric private keys. So whenever we use the same key for both the public key and the private key, so there is a less, we can say the less amount of or less amount we can that can be used or less cost can be used instead of using the public private encryption decryption different keys, or we can say the asymmetric keys. To reduce the encryption cost, HTTPS actually creates a one-time symmetric key. So whenever I want to reduce the elimination cost or encryption cost, there is a HTTPS, that is a hypertext transfer protocol X, secure S, that actually creates a one-time symmetric key. So there is a creation of the one-time symmetric key, that is a proper validation of, or we can say the same key will be used or the same method will be used or the same key will be used for both the encryption and the decryption. Digital certificate. Next point says, yeah, this is most important lines. Creates a one-time symmetric key after authentication and uses it to encrypt the data for the rest of the session. That is, every data can be encrypted, every data can be decrypted for the rest of the session that is available to authenticate the data. Next, digital certificates can also be used for authenticating the users. That is also used to authenticate the privacy of the user. That is also used to authenticate the users. The user must submit a digital certificate containing her pub public key to a site. That is, the user must create, or the user must submit a digital certificate. So this can also be used to authenticate the user, and what's the role of the user? Submits a digital certificate containing her private key to a site, which verifies that the certificate has been signed by the trusted authority. That is, the certificate must be signed by the trusted authority. The user's public key can then be used in a challenge response system to ensure that the process or the user processes the corresponding private key and thereby authenticating the user. So there is a proper authentication, there is a proper, we can say the private key, corresponding private key that can be used to authenticate the user. So in simple terms, whenever we use encryption, that is a very important method. We use a digital signature, that is we can say the proofreading signature, that is a signature that is available on the web, that is a digital signature. Then there's a digital certificate, that is a certificate that must be issued by the certification authority and that can be used while using the certificate output. So now this chapter is winding up or wind up. Next is a summary, that is a summary of this chapter, what we have covered in this chapter. First point says application programs that use databases as backend and interact with the users have been around since the 1960s. So whatever the application data that can be used, whatever the application data that can be used for the application server, that is how the user interacts with the user. Application architectures have evolved over this period. So there is an architecture, there is an involvement that is used with the architecture of the data. Today most applications uses web browsers as their front-end tool, database as their back-end tool, and the application server in between. So application uses the web browser as a front-end, database as a back-end, and the application server in between that provides a connectivity between the front-end and the back-end. Right. Then the next point says HTML provides the ability to define interfaces that combine hyperlinks with the form facility. So HTTP or the HTML has a facility or provides a facility or has the ability to define various interfaces that combines the hyperlinks with the form facility. That is, there is a form that connects the server, that connects we can say the databases. That is, we can jump by using the submit button, we can jump by using the rotation button. Web browser communicate with the web server by using the HTTP protocol. Suppose I'm using the browser, that is we can say the google.com, that is Google is a web browser, Yahoo is a web browser. Then I'm communicating with the web server by using the which protocol? That is the HTTP protocols. Web server can pass on requests to the application programs and return the result to the browser. So what is the use of the web browser? Can pass the request to the application programs and then return the result to the browser. Third point says web server executes application programs to implement desired functionality. So the desired functionality can be implemented by using the or by executing the application programs. Servlets are a widely used mechanism to write application programs that run as a part of the web server process. So servlet is one of the important web server or one of the important, we can say, the mechanism that is used to write the application programs in order to reduce the overhead. And there are many server-side scripting languages that can be encrypted or interpreted by the web server and provides application program functionality and provides the application provides functionality, program functionality as a part of the web server. So this is a scripting language that is used that can be interpreted by the web server. Do you want this back? So this provides the functionality or this provides the application program functionality that is as a part of the web server. Now, next point says there are several client-side scripting languages. What are the various client-side scripting languages? For example, JavaScript, that is the most widely used language that provides a we can say that provides a rich user interaction at the browser end. So at the browser end, there is a facility that is provided by the JavaScript. In the same way, there is a VB script. In the same way, there is a front-end tool that is available for the user interaction. Next point says complex applications usually have a multi-layer architecture including a model implementing the business logic, controller and a view mechanism to display the result. So the complex applications that usually have a multi-layer architecture that have a model that is implementing the business logics, controllers and the mechanism to display the results. They also include the data access layer, that is how to access the data, that is the data access layer that implements an object relational mapping. Many application implements and use the web services that is invoking the HTTP, that is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Next point says a number of tools have been developed for the rapid application development. So there are a number of tools that will be available for the rapid application development that will be used, that is a RAD, that is a rapid application development. In particular, to reduce the effort required to build the user interfaces. So if there is a requirement to build the user interfaces, that requirement can be fulfilled by using the RAD, that is a rapid application development. Then the next point says techniques such as caching of various forms including query result caching and the connection pooling, parallel processing are used to improve the application performance. So in order to improve the application performances, there is a technique, there is a, we can say, the method that can be used that can be also be known as the connection pooling, connection processing that can be used to improve the application performances. Next point says application developers may pay or must pay careful attention to security to prevent attacks such as SQL injection attacks and the cross-site encrypting attacks. So application developers must pay the careful attention to the security that is also available with the mechanism. Next, SQL authentication mechanisms are coarse-grained. That is whenever we use a SQL authentication mechanism, that is a coarse-grained or that can be used, that can be mechanism and of the limited value to the applications that deals with a large number of users. Today, application programs implement fine-grained tuple-level authorization dealing with a large amount or large number of application servers. So there is a large number of application server that can be used to build the applications. Next point says protecting the privacy of the data is also one of the important tasks of the database application. So in order to protect the private information of any person, that is also an important task for the database applications. Many countries have legal requirement on the protection of certain kinds of data, such as credit card number or the medical data or the SSN number in the USA, that is a social security number. Then next point is encryption, that is today's topic, that plays a key role in protecting the information and authentication of the user and the website. So encryption has an important role in protecting the data, that is how to protect the data and how to authenticate the users and the website, that is authenticating the users, protecting the data. Symmetric key encryption and public key encryption are two contrasting but widely used approaches to the encryption. So there are two methods that is used. One is a symmetric key encryption, one is a public key encryption. That is there is a symmetric key, there is a public key encryption that is most widely used for the encryption. Encryption of certain sensitive data model or data stored in databases is a legal requirement of many countries. That is, encryption is used in databases. Encryption is used in the databases for storing the relevant information, that is changing the form into the new form that cannot be understood by the third person. Then last one is that encryption also plays a key role in authentication of users to the application. That is, there is also important role of the encryption to play the authentication role, to get the application role, to get the for authentication of the users to the application. That is, suppose I'm creating one website, that authentication must be provided by the encryption. And there is also multiple techniques that is used for the encryption, like digital signature, digital certificates, that is also a part of the encryption. So this is the summary of this chapter, that is encryption, digital signature, digital certificates, what are the various application performances, various techniques to improve the performance of the applications, various tools that can be used for the applications, and there are various server-side scripting also, that is a JavaScript, VB script that is used as the browser. And there is also HTML that provides a facility to design the web pages, that is a hypertext markup language. And there is a HTTP, that is a hypertext transfer protocol. And there is a HTTPS also, that is the hypertext transfer protocol S, that is HTTPS, that provides a secure mechanism to build the databases, that is how to build the databases or how to maintain the databases. So this is all about the chapter number 9. Now next is the review terms, that is application programs, HTML, web interfaces, hyperlinks, URL, that is a uniform resource locator, hypertext markup language, hypertext transfer protocol, CGI, that is a common gateway interface, then cookie, session, JSP, PHP, ASP.NET, document object model. So these are the various key terms that is used in this chapter. Then there is a practice exercises that is also available. And these are the various practice exercises. These are the various questions of the practice exercises. These are the various examples of these practice exercises. And this is the project suggestion, that is how to build the project. Now, part 2 is also over, that is the database design is also over. The next part is part 3, that is the data storage and querying. That is how to store the database, how to store the database, and what are the various file structure that is used in the database. That is the database storage and the file structure, or we can say the data storage and the query. So this part 3 I'm going to start in the next class, that is in the tomorrow's class. So that's all for today's session. We have wound up this class over here only. If there is any doubts, any suggestions, anything that you want to add, you can ask from me. So that's all for today's session. Yes, Joseph, tell me.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you, Joseph?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I'm also good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, tell me, Joseph.
Yes, I have two things to ask, sir. Number one is about the other assignment. You said last week we haven't get anyone till now. And
You,
then number two, sir, this month makes a year of our program, sir.
pardon? can you repeat? I'm not able to get your voice clearly.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now tell me.
Yes. I said I have two things to ask, sir.
Yes, first of all, assignment. You want an assignment of the new subjects like e-commerce, like computing system, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly, sir.
yeah, that is prepared because but there are some, we can say, the loopholes in that assignment. I have to check it into the Edexcel first of all, then send it to the you. And if there is a reply, there is a feedback that is coming from the Edexcel, then only the assignment will be passed to the students. So that there is no modification. You are not going to again and again doing the same assignment. So that takes 2 or more days more, 2 or 3 days.
Okay, sir. So, okay, in the next, by next week we should have that, sir.
Pardon?
I said, is it that we will have the assignment by next week or what?
Mark the assignment by the university, by the Edexcel.
I don't get, sir.
No, no, no. I'm not trying to get up. What are you trying to say?
I said, are you saying we are going to get the assignment next week?
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay, sir. Then the second question, sir. I said this month make a year of our program, sir.
Yes.
And you really need to help us out, sir. We are all depend on you to be able to also finish through with other courses.
Okay.
So
So,
we still have
so what
more
do?
than we still
Mhm.
have about 30 courses left also.
So what do you want? That the this is a low pace, this is a slow speed that you want.
Sir?
What do you want from me? That is the same assignment will be given, or the subject will be running up in a very fast speed.
I can't hear you, sir.
That is a major issue, na. There is lack of bandwidth in the today's class. Can you type the question what you are trying to say?
Okay, hold on, sir.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, sure. I will help you to complete the program by next year. I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry. All right, Joseph. Yeah, I know there are 11 courses that is left on, because we have covered only 5 courses and there is only 1 year remaining, that I know very well. So we will keep it very short so that we will cover up within 1 month only every course, right? Because only 1 year is left and per month we have to finish one course, one module. All right, Joseph. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. All right. Now you're happy. Okay. Bye bye.